Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kate, I make videos about books, and Happy New Year! Happy 2022! My god, thank goodness that 2021 is over. Today I am here to go through all the books and book-related items that I received for Christmas and my birthday this year. It's been a little while since I filmed a video, mostly just because after I filmed my last video, it was my final month of university, I was writing a lot of essays, and then I moved back home for Christmas and for the Christmas holidays, and of course I wanted to enjoy having my own space again, being back at home, having a lot more free time than I'm used to. So I did do a lot of reading, however it did mean I was not really in the mood to be in front of the camera, and this is the first time I've put on makeup in about 3 or 4 weeks, so I'm excited to be making another video and I'm excited to share the things that I got. My birthday is only 5 days after Christmas. I was actually due on Christmas Day but was born on the 30th of December, so it means that I tend to get a lot of things concentrated in this like 1 week of time at the end of the year, and then that's me done pretty much for the year, so it means I've got a fair amount to get through and I'm very excited to share it. Before we get started though, I want to say an absolutely massive thank you for 111 subscribers. I had an absolute boom in subscribers at the very end of 2021, which I completely was not expecting. I'd had this small goal that I wasn't going to speak into the universe of getting to 100 subscribers at the end of last year, and we made it on like the 6th of December or something. I just got like 20 subscribers out of nowhere and it's still going up, so thank you so much to everyone who has seen my channel recommended or has watched one video and decided to stick around, because it means so much that you want to continue seeing my videos, hearing my opinions, and yeah, it means a lot. So hi to everyone, thank you for being here. And yeah, let's just start with the books. So I'm going to do this in 3 little sections. I'm going to do books that I got for Christmas, books that I got for my birthday, and then bookish items that aren't expressly books but that are book related, because I think they're fun to share as well. So we will start off with the 10 books that I got on Christmas Day. First of all, we have Don't Feed the Trolls by Erica Kudish. This is a bit of a wild card one that I had asked for. I actually came across the title because it was recommended to me on Storygraph. Actually, I don't even think it was recommended, recently added. I saw the title Don't Feed the Trolls and thought, that sounds quirky. So I read the blurb and went, oh, this sounds cool. Don't Feed the Trolls is about an online gamer named Daphne who wins a competition for her novelisation of her experiences playing an online game and is immediately trolled so hard, and it is awful for her. So she immediately abandons the game file that she has dedicated so many hours to and instead starts a new one under a male name with a male presenting avatar and starts going by a completely different name. However, with the experience of being trolled with taking on this male persona, she starts to think about the role the internet plays in her life and the role that her identity plays as well. And so Daphne starts trying out different pronouns, different methods of expressing herself, and starts to try to work out how she can blend this new life she is starting out as Benedict on a completely new server with the things that she loves about her old file and the old life that she had built under her female name. I did in fact read this book on Christmas Day. It's only about 180 pages, so I got through it fairly quickly and was immediately so drawn into it. This was such a fun book. I may talk more about this in a separate video, so I will not go into too much detail now, but safe to say it was a really fun book. I loved a lot of the things it had to say and I really appreciated the way it explored so many of the very difficult themes that it explored. But yes, Don't Feed the Trolls by Erica Kudish, a good one. Next, this is the one that I was most anticipating getting for Christmas / my birthday and was so excited to see it in my pile. The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow. This is one that has been on my radar for a little bit. I did a reading challenge last year on the Storygraph which was all about reading books with asexual and aromantic characters, and the one prompt that I really struggled to fill out was finding a book with a demisexual character in it. So one of the best things about the challenges is if you go to the prompt specifically that you're looking for, you can see what books other people have uploaded that meet that prompt, so you can get some really good ideas for, you know, if you're doing challenges based on reading more diversely, it's really good for finding those kinds of things. So I just went onto the read a book with a demisexual character prompt and had a scroll through, saw The Sound of Stars, thought, that sounds excellent, and asked for it, and I got it, and I read it on my birthday, and I'm definitely making a full video on this because I just adored it. But safe to say, excellent book, excellent demisexual representation, and we love it. We love it. Also, gorgeous, gorgeous cover. It's a bit shiny, but yes, very happy with that one. You might be about to sense a little bit of a theme with a lot of the books I got for Christmas. Basically, the list that I gave to my parents was 3 tiers because I had about 35, 36 books on it, which is far too many to expect to receive all of them. So I tier ranked them based on, here's things I most want to get, here's things I would like to get, here's things I really don't mind if you ignore, so that they could prioritise their buying, but that I would also potentially have a bit of a surprise with what I got. A lot of my tier 1 books were books with asexual and aromantic representation because I need more books about people like me, and they're very, very hard to find a lot of the time. But without further ado, the third book that I got, which I asked for, is Baker Thief by Claudie Arsenault. Very excited for this one. Also though, it is a fat book. This is one that I got from a list of aspec books that was sent to a Discord server that I'm in, which I had a scroll through, had a look, and went, this sounds awesome. Also, Claudie Arsenault is the person who put together Common Bonds, which is the anthology I read during the Sunshine Readathon last year, which was focused entirely on aromantic experience, and so basically, I fucking stan her. She's incredible. And this is a book that she wrote. Baker Thief follows. Actually, I'll just read the blurb because it is quite something. Adele has only one goal: catch the purple-haired thief who broke into her home and stole her Exocor, thus proving herself to her new police team. Little does she know, her thief is also the local baker. Claire owns the Croissantoir, but while her days are filled with pastries and customers, her nights are dedicated to stealing Exocors. These new red gems are heralded as the energy of the future, but she knows the truth. They are made of witches' souls. When her twin, a powerful witch and prime Exocor material, disappears, Claire redoubles in her efforts to investigate. She keeps running into Adele, however, and whether or not she can save her sister might depend on their conflicted, unstable, but deepening relationship. I know for a fact that this book has incredible representation. There is, I believe, a demisexual character, an aromantic or otherwise aromantic spectrum character, a bi-gender character. I'm also pretty sure the relationship between Adele and Claire develops into a queer platonic relationship, and it's just focused on a wholesome bakery, witches, sisterly love, and just cover vibes. Very excited for that one. Next is Finding Your Feet by Cass Lennox. Again, an asexual book. I found it on one of the lists I have recommending asexual books, but I'm very excited for this one. Again, it's a nice little slim one. It's by the same publisher, I believe, as Don't Feed the Trolls, so I have high hopes given the quality of the first book I read that they published. This book is about an asexual girl named Evie who didn't plan to become a dancer, but who has ended up auditioning for a pretty elite dance team in Toronto and is paired up with a guy named Tyler, who is incredibly grumpy and definitely does not want to be dancing with a girl who's never danced before. However, it's gonna turn into a bit of an ace relationship. Additionally, Tyler is a biracial trans man who is recovering from an emotionally abusive relationship, and so his interactions with Evie are what helps him come out of his shell again. And I just saw this and went, okay, it's got the grumpy and sunshine trope, it's got an asexual character, it's got incredible representation. It sounds really wholesome, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to reading this. Hell yeah. Finally getting through my massive pile of books. Next up we have The Cybernetic Teashop by Meredith Katz. Again, a book that I found on Ace Representation, Ace Recommendations tags, but I'm excited for this one again because, once more, immaculate vibes. Look at this cover, Cybernetic Teashop. What more do you want? It sounds adorable. I'll just read the blurb for this one again because it's so beautifully put. Clara Gutierrez is an AI repair technician and a wanderer. Her childhood with her migrant worker family has left her uncomfortable with lingering for too long, so she moves from place to place across retro-futuristic America. Sal is a fully autonomous robot. Older than the law declaring her kind illegal due to ethical concerns, she is at best out of place in society and at worst vilified. She continues to run the tea shop previously owned by her long-dead master, lost in memories of the past, struggling to fulfill her master's dream for the shop while slowly breaking down. They meet by chance, but as they start spending time together, they both begin to wrestle with the idea of moving on. I know for a fact this ends up with a queer platonic relationship between the two, and I'm pretty sure that it is Clara who is the asexual character in this, not Sal, which is very, very good to see because although it's kind of funky having a lot of ace representation from humanoid or non-human robot characters, it's even better seeing it from actual human beings learning to connect with others. And I just think it's an adorable idea. Tea shops, retro-futuristic, what a great descriptor. Very excited for this, and it's a nice slim one. Thinking of taking this with me for university, because if it's this short and this slim, it'll be very easy for me to both take with me and then read in between lectures and things, so yeah, hyped. Another aspec book from my asexual reading list. This is the first of the Murderbot Diaries books by Martha Wells. This one I got excited by because the premise is basically that Earth has become overrun by technology, robots, machines, and this is about a robot called, what's the name? We're just referring to it as Murderbot, cool. Main character is Murderbot, whose job it is to, like, colonize the Earth and destroy humanity. But with their sentience, all they want to do is interact with media. They want to watch soap operas, they want to interact with the internet, and I thought that's such a fun premise. It's a very, very short book, but I know there's like 7 or 8 in this series, so I wanted to give the first one a go and then I'll see if I want to get the others, but I just thought the premise was so wholesome and funny, and of course we get aromantic asexual representation because robot not meant to feel things, but like this seems like a cool wholesome way of doing it rather than being like robots don't feel things just like ace people, so yeah. Hyped. I need to stop saying hyped. I'm excited for it. I am excited for this book. Not hyped. Sorry. Next is The Stone Age by Jen Hadfield. This is a collection of poetry. So I mentioned in my last video that the city which I'm going to university in held a book festival right at the point at which I started university, which was absolutely perfect for giving me things to do, making me feel very at home with the place I've chosen to spend the next 3 years of my life. And one of the talks that they gave at the book festival was called To My Weird Sisters, and it was by 2 female poets who have in their later years been diagnosed with autism, talking about their experiences of growing up autistic but not realising it, of being seen as weird and then later having an answer for it, but mostly about how it affects their writing. And in particular, Jen Hadfield, one of the authors, wrote The Stone Age about her connection to nature and the real physical world, being so grounded in her autistic, weird female experience, and I thought it sounded absolutely fantastic. She read one of her poems aloud in the live stream and it was phenomenal, and I just went, yes please, more of this. So I'm very excited to get a chance to read this. Just to change it up a bit, we have a non-aromantic asexual, to my knowledge, book. Lovely War by Julie Berry. I have seen this one talked about so highly, and the premise of it was just blew my mind. It is set in World War II and it follows 4 individuals living in Britain across World War II, and about Aphrodite, the goddess Aphrodite's view of their relationships, her involvement in the war, and more broadly about them all coping with this great, difficult event. I thought following 2020, following 2021, more stories about love and hope transcending the difficult things we go through are what I need to be reading. I really like historical fiction. I really like as well books focused around World War I and World War II. Don't know why, just do. And I love a bit of Greek mythology, so I thought the idea of Aphrodite herself being involved in the love lives of these people going through such a difficult event. Perfect, we love to see it. Very excited for this. Also, what a cool cover, what a cool... So many of these books have lovely covers, and I'm not saying I pick things based on the covers, but it sure does help. Next, we have An Unkindness of Ghosts by Rivers Solomon. This one I discovered actually in two different ways. The first one is that I read River Solomon's book, The Deep, last year, and I thought it was really, really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. They are an incredible writer and I wanted to read more of their work. And then subsequently, while looking through lists of asexual reading material, I saw An Unkindness of Ghosts pop up, and I thought, firstly, funky cover once again, but also River Solomon, that name's familiar. So here we are, a book by an author I already admired and wanted to read more of that also features asexual representation. Brilliant. This is a story that follows Asta, who is a black woman, I believe, living on an intergalactic spaceship that is being used to transport humanity to a new planet following the death of Earth. But it has been set up like the antebellum South with segregation, and Asta is at the very, very bottom of the pile. So it's a story about racial divides, class divides, and about civil unrest. I think the main plot of this story is Asta trying to improve situations for people like her at the very, very bottom of this highly, highly charged society. You know, they're stuck on a spaceship hoping for a new land. And I thought it sounded absolutely incredible, very creative, and if there's ace representation, it gives it extra kudos. So very excited for An Unkindness of Ghosts. Expecting it to be quite heavy though. The Deep, which was again very futuristic sci-fi, fantasy, magical realism, despite that was still very, very heavy, and in a good way. It was handled absolutely excellently, but I'm preparing for the same level of intensity with this, just in a very different sense. But yeah, very excited. And then the final book that I got for Christmas was Summer Bird Blue by Akemi Dawn Bowman. Again, excited for this one. This is one that Paperback Dreams, who is one of my favourite booktubers, I believe, recommended at one point. Beautiful cover. It also, at the very, very top, has a comment from Alice Oseman. We know how I feel about Alice Oseman, and if she is recommending a book, you best believe I'm gonna give it a shot. Summer Bird Blue is about a girl named Rumi who is coping with grief at the loss of her sister, who was her creative partner as well as a family member. So she moves to a completely new place with the intention of healing herself, focusing on her grief and trying to get that ability to create back, when she meets her two next door neighbours, one of which being a young golden retriever gamer boyfriend type of guy. I think he's a surfer as well. Yeah, fantastic. And the other being an older man who's already gone through grief himself. And so with the combined impact of these two boys, I say boys, men. One's a teenager, one's like an elderly man. But yeah, with their efforts combined with her own efforts, she slowly adjusts to and moves through her grief. And it sounded absolutely incredible, just this final paragraph. With unflinching honesty, Summer Bird Blue explores big truths about insurmountable grief, unconditional love, and how to forgive even when it feels impossible, which sounded incredible. I know there is also asexual representation in this book, and I just think it sounds fantastic. I'm very excited to read this one. Now we are on to the books that I got for my birthday. Fortunately, there are far fewer of these. I think it's only 6 books, so I'll be able to get through them much more quickly. But the first book that I opened on my birthday was Volume 1 of Lore Olympus by Rachel Smith. This is not one that I actually asked for, but one that I was very pleased to see. I have a college wife at university. It is a convention of my university and the college that I'm in to have spouses who then take on a mentor relationship to younger students when they first start at university, and I got college married, which was very, very lovely. So hi Gabby, if you're watching. Really liked this, thank you. Lore Olympus is a webcomic. I read it on Webtoon, and it is about the relationship between Persephone and Hades, told from a very modern perspective. It's very cool, it's very snarky, very feminist. I really, really like it, and at the end of last year they started publishing them as physical books, and this is volume 1. Very excited to get to relive the comic again. Thank you, Gabby. Mwah, best wife. Next is another that I didn't actually ask for, but that was very excited to see. This is one that was given to me by my grandparents. They tend to just pick a book for me each year, which is always very exciting because it means I don't know what I'm gonna get. Last year, they got me Hamnet, and I fucking loved Hamnet, so I have good faith. And this year, the book they picked for me was The Manningtree Witches by A.K. Blakemore. I had never even heard of this book, I had not come across it, so I am very interested to discover more about it. It is set in England during the English Civil War, during the huge puritanical witch trials that went on, and I believe that it follows women in a small village named Manningtree coping with this decimation of their community and the very gender-based violence that they are suffering due to these witch trials. Sounds very cool. I thought the cover was awesome. It'll be a really interesting one to try out because it's not something I would have picked for myself, but that doesn't mean that I don't think it'll be something I enjoy. So yeah, that's a cool one. The next one is Everyone Dies Famous in a Small Town by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. This is one that I asked for once again, and my mum said that she picked this one to get me because she thought the title was fantastic, and the title is what drew me to it as well. This is a collection of short stories about teenagers and young people living in small towns, and as someone who grew up in a tiny, tiny village in the middle of rural nowhere, I thought it would be a very, very interesting collection to read. I don't know if it's set in America or if it's set in England or around a variety of places, but I thought it sounded very interesting. Everyone Dies Famous in a Small Town, because everyone knows your name, because you can't escape people. The next one is Please Ignore Vera Dietz or Dietz. Okay, I had a conversation with my mum about this. I assumed it would be pronounced Dietz because that's how it's spelled. My mum said, no, obviously it's Dietz. No one's name is Dietz. So now I'm unsure. I'll just refer to the main character as Vera until I know for sure. But anyway, by A.S. King. This is a book that I found out about in a very roundabout way. I stumbled across an article by A.S. King, or an interview with A.S. King, in which she talked about the death of her daughter and the impact of her daughter's suicide on her as a woman, as a mother, and as a writer, and I was really moved by it. So I looked up A.S. King to see what books she'd written, and Please Ignore Vera, insert last name here, really took my fancy, and so I thought I would ask for it and give it a read. So this is about the main character Vera, who had a very, very close friend called Charlie, who she trusted all of her secrets with, essentially, and even when he betrayed her, she still felt very strongly for him. So when he dies under mysterious circumstances, Vera has a lot of conflicting feelings about various things that come to light in the light of his death. So it is about her struggling with these dual feelings of, do I clear the name of this person I cared so deeply about, or do I just accept that he's gone now and actually he wasn't a good person to me? And I thought it sounded really interesting. I like complex relationships between ex-friends in fiction because I've been there, so it's interesting to read about. None of my friends have turned up dead though, so touch wood. That's not wood, but I'll touch the door frame. There we go. Don't want any of my ex-friends to die. However, I completely get it in terms of difficult feelings. So yeah, interested, looking forward to reading. There we are. The penultimate book that I'm going to be talking about is The Other's Gold by Elizabeth Ames, and this is an adult fiction book for grown-ups, as opposed to all the YA that I read. This is one that was recommended to me on the Storygraph as part of their recommendations feature, and I thought it sounded really interesting. This book follows 4 women who find each other in university and strike up very, very deep lifelong friendships with each other, but that start to drift apart once they finish university and start leading their adult lives. But it is about the ways in which they relate to each other and come back to each other after each of them makes a huge mistake in adulthood. I thought this sounded really, really interesting. I love female friendships, I love stories about friendships, and I especially like stories about people making mistakes, being a massive perfectionist myself, so I thought it would be really, really interesting and a pretty good foray for me into adult fiction, as it contains a lot of the features that I like in the books that I'm already reading. And then, the final book that I have to talk about. I have the stack of books behind me on my little shelf here, and it is now poking me in the arse, because that's how tall it's gotten. The final book that I have to talk about is The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton. I saw this one in a TikTok. If I can find the link, I will add the TikTok below or shout out the creator, because I get a lot of book recommendations on TikTok. I only listen to some of them, but this one sounded good. This one essentially follows a very upper class Victorian lady who is the epitome of perfect aristocratic woman, apart from the fact that she is part of a society of thieves, and the man she is meant to marry, I believe... No, hang on. There's a man who's meant to go and murder her, but he falls in love with her immediately, and they end up teaming up. I thought that sounded hilarious. I'm all for Victorian historical romps. I'm hoping this doesn't disappoint me as much as The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, because it feels like they could have similar vibes, but this sounds far better done, and I'm much more excited with the prospect of it. So, yeah. Whoop whoop. God, I'm tired. Right, so those are all the books that I received for Christmas and my birthday. That was a lot. I've got a lot of reading material to get through in the next year, and I'm very much looking forward to all of it. So now I will quickly go through all of the bookish items that I have to talk about. First up, I got 3 really, really lovely bookmarks over Christmas. I got 1 from my aunt, and I got 2 from my friend Anna, who I met at university. Thank you, Anna. Lovely bookmarks. These were all from Waterstones and their Victoria and Albert Museum collection. They're all based on old-fashioned Victorian-style prints, I believe, and they're just really pretty. They're also made of this lovely thick card with a really, really good texture on it, so they feel nice and sturdy, they're nice to the touch, and they've got pretty shiny ribbons, and I'm a whore for nice shiny ribbons, so perfect bookmarks for me. Next is this lovely note card tin that came with a little bookmark. I got that in my stocking, so it was either Santa or my mother. I'll let you decide which. But it's a lovely little tin. It's perfect for keeping envelopes or note cards inside. I've currently got my little thank you notes, which I still need to write for all these nice gifts that my relatives and family got for me. And it also came with this lovely little brown card. I don't know whether it was intended to be a bookmark or not, but I am using it as such because it's very pretty. And they have lovely bookish quotes on them because I'm a big old nerd. He put something book related on it. It'll be for me, let's be real. Next, this is one that I got for my birthday, and this is a 100 book bucket list poster. I'm very excited for this. I've seen this kind of thing all over the place, and I think it's such a cool concept. Basically, they've got 100 books that they think you should read in your lifetime, and once you've read them, you can scratch off the foil to reveal a nice little themed illustration underneath as a way to say, yes, I've read it. So I was surprised by how many I'd already read, considering I'm not someone who really goes for the classics, TM. But I've already read 19 of them, so I'm pretty proud of myself, and it'll give me good motivation to read more of them. I also know there's a lot on that list that I am actually going to be studying in the upcoming months at university, so I'm going to keep the poster at home, and then when I get back each term I will just enjoy doing my little scrapings. And finally, this is probably the most unusual and fun one that I'm looking forward to. My parents gifted me a 3-month subscription to Rare Bird Books. This is one of those book subscription services, but it is a little bit different, as they all are, and I've never been subscribed to one of those book delivery services before, unless you count Puffin Post when I was like a child, but I absolutely love it, and I really like the premise of this one as well. Redbird Books especially focuses on female writers and minority writers, and the way it works is that each month they will give you 2 blurbs of books without telling you any more details. You pick the blurb you like and they send you that book. They also have an online community so you can get to discuss the book you picked each month, and it just sounds like a lot of fun. My plan is that I'm going to activate my subscription in June because I have 3 months, and that will mean I get my books in June, July and August, which is when I am off university, and so will hopefully be able to dedicate as much time as possible to the reading and appreciating of these titles as they appear through my door. And that is it! Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was interesting. I always get so many books and so many bookish things around Christmas and my birthday, and it's so cool to share them because it's always so exciting having this new pile of stuff to look forward to, and yeah, I am enthused. If there's any titles in particular that you saw that you have strong feelings about, for example, if there's a book you really want me to read nice and quickly so I can talk about it, do comment it below, because as much as I make these videos for me and I don't get the hugest amount of engagement on my videos, if there is something you care especially about, I will make it a priority because I like being able to talk about books. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was interesting. Feel free to like this video if you did indeed like it, and comment down below if there are any books that you saw or any bookish items that you are particularly interested in, because I'm looking forward to talking about some of these, and especially Don't Feed the Trolls and The Sound of Stars I will talk about more in depth in a future video, which will hopefully be nice and soon, but yes, those will definitely be getting talked about. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more of my bookish content, and I will see you next time. Alright, whew, gotta get through this. Gotta keep going, keep the energy up. And that is it. Oh, that was very squeaky of me.